Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast, where we sit down with local businesses and we talk about who they are, where they come from, and what inspires them to be in business.
All right, welcome back to the MyBusiness Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. It is Georgie Carpenter from a stereo of people. How are you, Georgie?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
We've already had a bit of fun in our getting to know each other before the podcast. Georgie, a stereo of people, it's a new business.
It is.
Tell us about it.
Oh, okay. So it started right, where do I start? The name.
The
okay.
name.
The name.
Let's start with the name. I love the reasons why people have called their business what they have.
All right. Well, the name was taken or given to me by a friend who actually had a fanzine years and years ago, 2004, called A Stereo of People.
Yep.
And she was a fantastic person, sort of revealed a whole underground music community, alternative lifestyle to me, and that was what her fanzine was all about. But it didn't really go anywhere, and then years and years later I was like, this name's amazing. Are you using it? And she said, no, you can have it. And I took it. And I thought it was relevant because this business started in my mind. It'd been sort of ruminating or percolating in my mind in the last couple of years to how could I help other people who want to start businesses? But I've got that experience and people calling me for it all the time. So I thought I'll start this business, and I'd been mentoring another company. That guy took his business from 0 to 5 million revenue, and he totally gives me way more credit than I'm probably due. But
Accept it though.
Oh, and I'm taking it,
Exactly.
totally taking it. Then I actually helped a friend through acquisition. So I thought, well, I'm going to commercialise this a little bit. It was in Bali after I sold my first business anyway, and I thought I'm itching to do something. And if I'm getting all these calls, I had clients calling me saying, can you come back? I had some job offers, and I thought, no, I can't work for anyone else. I'm totally unemployable.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible staff member. You should never hire me. I'm horrible to anyone in authority by accident. I don't know why.
Let's make sure these parts aren't the ones we use on the snippets for.
Oh, you can if you want. I'm never going to be that person who's solely professional. I'm professionally unprofessional. But Stereo of People started, and I thought, well, I'm going to sort of, my background's in recruitment and professional services, so I'll write a course, and that will be the commercial side of it, and the rest of it will be content creation. How can I dispel the myths of starting a business and founding, and what the entrepreneurial mindset is? And that's where we're at. It's only really been sort of ramping up in the last 3 to 6 months.
But you've got an extensive background of experience yourself in business, obviously with your own business.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that so people know the kind of person Georgie Carpenter is.
Okay, so in 2008, I accidentally started a new company called 10 Collective.
You do a lot of things by accident, it seems.
Well, I think that's life,
I
isn't
reckon
it?
it's
Your
awesome.
kind of opportunities come up and you roll with them and adapt to them, and not everything can be perfectly planned and executed, and sometimes the best stuff is when you've come to it with a bit of an empty head or without any sort of expectations. And I was working for a business, and I left them, and I literally walked out the door and a client called to say, hey, I need such and such person. I was a recruiter in a past life. And I had someone just instantly by, what's the word when you just instinctively go, yeah, I've got a person, and place that person within an hour. And within an hour, I'd earned $10,000. And I thought,
started your business.
all right. And I got home and I said to my partner at the time, I quit my job, but I made a placement. And I need to go to Officeworks and get I need to get some things, a printer. I need a printer. And that was how it started.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
I often think back to a lot of different situations in life where people can take the opportunity because it's there, or they can steer past it because they're a little bit scared of taking a chance.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're the kind of person that you see an opportunity and you just run with it.
Well, I think... yeah, no, that is me. If I see something interesting, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for that. And I've got that sort of level of, let's go down the rabbit hole there. But I'm okay with making mistakes as well. And I don't think in business there's any time that you can't back out or exit. There's very few circumstances by which, no, you are done. You've really messed up. So I have no issues with failure.
How important are mistakes?
Well, very important. I mean, as far as every time you make a mistake, you can flip your mindset to, oh my God, I just learned something from that. And sometimes you have to. I definitely made a terribly expensive mistake recently. And instead of just, being down in the dumps about it, I had to flip it to, no, that was a learning opportunity. You better learn from that and not make that mistake again. But on the other hand, I think with mistakes, sometimes you make them too often, you can embody them a little bit. So you've got to be balanced, I think, about how you treat them.
Yep.
And yes, you do have to be a little bit smart about jumping into certain situations.
So helping other entrepreneurs is the business, that's the idea behind your business, is to help people get into their own businesses?
Oh, God, yeah. I'd love, and I think that actually the future is that everyone's going to be running their own little enterprise in some way, whether it's a side hustle or their own business or on everyone. I think is starting to sort of wake up to the fact that it is great to have a little bit more agency and sort of run your own little gig. And I get calls all the time, like, I really want to start my own business. And I'm like, great, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because I actually think there's some preamble work before you even have an idea. You speak to a management consultant and they're great, once you've identified your problem. Once you've identified your problem and then work to solve it, then you've got a business, and that's when your management consultant is awesome. But prior to that, there's a few more steps. And prior to that, that's the founder part that I really want to sort of tap into, is that know yourself. Know yourself first. There's that visualize what your future's going to look like. For example, so maybe you've got a number. Maybe you've got a number where you can say, if I had $50 million in the bank, then I'm sorted.
Yep.
Okay.
So
there's all these
That's the dream.
Yeah, visualize that dream. It sounds so corny. Visualize your dream.
Yeah, but it does sound corny, but it's actual reality.
Well, that's,
Actual reality sounds weird itself, but anyway.
I know. In this era, who knows what reality is, really. But, know yourself. And I talk about accusation audits, and I got that phrase from Chris Voss from his book, Never Split the Difference. But I used to just call it smack talk. Give yourself a whole bunch of smack talk. What are people's objections to you and what you're good at? And acknowledge all of them, air them all out, and then dispel them, because they're pretty much myths, because you've been living off those good things already. So that's all the work I think you need to do to have the courage to start a business and potentially at that point identify a problem.
So even if you don't know what that business is yet, having that courage, you think, is the first and most important part.
Oh God, absolutely. It's really tough starting a business. It's scary.
I know.
Particularly if it's not a side hustle.
Yep.
If it's a business where it's just you and you've just quit your job and you've just gone, bugger it. I'm going to live off my wits, make some money on this, and I'm going to do this thing. It's scary. That's why I get those phone calls from people going, I want to start this business. And then we talk through all of this stuff. And some people want to take the leap and some people don't. But I just want to encourage people to do it.
To take the leap.
Yeah.
Because you can say you only get one chance. Maybe you get more than one chance.
Definitely.
But to make that decision, you don't want to be dwelling on that for too long, do you? You just want to get in there.
I don't think you should. Yeah, I just spoke to another entrepreneur. He's got a theory on that he just raised $150 million in seed funding for an electric vehicle business.
Yep.
It's bloody amazing. We're collaborating on a course as well, the entrepreneurial mindset for Stereo for People. He's so great. He said that when people come to him as well, when they want to start businesses, he always asks them, how long have you been thinking about this? And the time that they've been ruminating about starting a business indicates something to him. If it's too long, maybe it's not for you, If it's a little bit shorter, that sort of 6 to 12 months, maybe even 18 months, then let's have a crack.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. There's momentum. There has to be momentum. And actually, I don't know if you've read this book by Elizabeth Gilbert, I think her name is, and it's called Big Magic. And it's really about writing and creativity, but she talks about how ideas can come to you or inspiration can come to you, but if you don't grasp it at that time, they go off to somebody else. And her example was that she had this book plan, and she'd written it all out. I don't even know if she'd written it all out, but she'd planned it all in her head. She knew the way it was going. This character would do this, that character would do that. And she just sat on it. She just sat on it for too long. And then she caught up with a friend, and that person had the idea. And that person repeated back her idea to Elizabeth Gilbert and had all the same plot twists and all the same sort of moves in the character. And she just went, it's magic. I didn't take the opportunity when I had it. And that idea just went, you're not ready, and moved on to somebody else. I don't even know if that's a bit woo-woo, isn't it? But I'm into that.
It's a bit woo-woo. I love that. I love that term. Not one that I've had used before, but that is a bit woo-woo, to be honest.
But I think that's how ideas work. You grab them, you know, and I think that's business as well. Like when there's an opportunity, you take it, you know, otherwise it goes to somebody else. And then you can say, I've grasped at it. I've had a go. It's not all right. Moving on.
Let's try something else.
Yeah.
How many of the people you speak to are in that second phase, you know, of trying something else, or and you know, do they keep coming back with new ideas, I guess?
Quite a number. I'd say sort of 30% of the people I speak to do actually do something, whether that's starting a website, building a website, and
that's quite a large number when you think about it, because
look, I just pulled that number. I couldn't tell you all the stats specifically, but
in that,
a few of them.
Yeah. But even for that, it's like, you know, people, if they're asking those questions, they've obviously got a lot of doubts themselves. So for you to be able to get people to convert those ideas and passions into actually starting something and having a crack, that's something that you've got to be proud of.
Well, sometimes, thanks. I'm not going to take any credit for that. It's just a little bit of a G-up half the time.
I get the feeling you could G-up people pretty easily.
Yeah.
There's so much excitement in this room right at the moment. I can just sense it. I love it.
I do think a bit of energy. You do need a little bit of that momentum and that sort of combustion from energy. Is that the right thing? Combustion?
Yeah, I think it is.
All right.
Sounds good. It's the right thing now.
But some people just don't even know how to register an ABN or use an accounting software. I mean, I'm crap at Xero or MYOB, but I do use them, and it's painful. But you can sort of.
I'm learning those at the moment myself.
It's shocking. It's shocking. And also the free trials really irritate me because they don't give you all the functionality, and then you're like, oh man,
what's the point?
Yeah.
Maybe we've got to get someone who write their own one. Start their own business.
Start their own how to set yourself up on Xero course or an actual business.
Start something in competition to Xero.
Oh, there's so many.
But something that's easy for us to use.
Oh, they're supposed to be all easy. It's just this. Right. You know about tech, right? Tech is one of those things where you sort of, you know that you can learn how to do it, but you got to set aside your 2 to 6 hours. Yeah. And who the... Right, I was just about to swear. You'll have to swear on this podcast.
We probably prefer not, but we know where you were going. That's okay.
Yeah. That 2 to 6 hours, when do you find the time to do that?
No.
You know, I just did it with a Shopify website, and I knew that I could do everything, and I was delegating everything off, but actually I needed to do it. Yep. And so I did. I just sat down in my armchair in Bali and just had the computer in front of me and went, I don't care, do this. 4 to 6 hours later, it's like, oh, it's easy. Oh my God, I know I've set up this whole thing, easy peasy.
Well, see, I'm in that generation of people that didn't grow up with computers, didn't have computers at school. So I find it very difficult to learn something, but once I learn it, that's exactly how I am as well.
I'm the same. I didn't have the internet when I was growing up. Laptops wasn't a thing, I don't think. What do they call us? Like digital immigrant or something?
I love it. That's me.
Yeah.
That is dead set me. You said something really interesting. You said, who's got that 2 to 6 hours to put aside? But
for something boring.
Yeah, but for anything, we tend to put those things off because of the time cost in it. But that's exactly what you're talking about with the stereo of people, that you've got to invest that time. You've got to use that time to develop your ideas. And it sounds to me that when they get to you, that's where you give them that little bit of a kick along to...
Well, I think it's you got to snatch time. And so you've got that sort of, you're having a pedicure. For example, when the last time you had a pedicure?
Never.
Never?
No,
it's a shame, you should try it. But when you're having a pedicure, say, you pull your books out, you pull your notebook out, and you write your little notes and you put your little plans in there, and that's your half an hour you've done something towards your idea. But before you know it, if you're snatching those little moments of time, before you know it, you've got a plan. You've got some sort of something coming together in your mind, solidifying in your mind. And I think that's when talking to people like me can encourage you to sort of productivity max those moments so that you can not hit the ground running. That's a stupid phrase. You can start, just begin. I suppose the other thing as well, I think I mentioned it before we started this. Perfection is the enemy of good. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Just starting. You don't have to be perfect. Oh my God, when I started 10 Collective in 2008, I had the worst website ever. It was just so static and so dull and so corporate. And it was just a terrible picture of me. And you know what? I was really proud of it. I didn't care. I just started and I went, I started then. Never even used that website really. It's just apart from a marker. Someone just went to my website and picked up the phone to me. That was it. That's
incredible.
Yeah.
What you're telling me and what I get the feeling of that, even you've got a background in recruitment. Recruitment helps a company place the right people. It helps a candidate get into the right jobs. You're now in a job where you're trying to help people deliver on their dreams. Yeah. Yep. So that seems to be that's a common theme with you. Is that something that you've always had, that willingness to help people?
Oh, I think being of service is vital, possibly everyone's life purpose. You just got to come to it and learn it for yourself. And being of service is my thing. I'm like, okay, how can I help you? I have literally taken the shirt off my back before for people. And I don't mean to be bigging myself up on that, but I'm interested in people. Yeah. And even I'm like all right, I don't even know how politically correct this is. I'm like a beggar magnet. Yep. Like I'm sitting on the street in some city anywhere on the planet, and I'm the one that the beggars come to. And that's cool because you do still get into these awesome conversations. And actually, at my office in Fitzroy, back when 10 Collective was running, there was a crew of homeless crew who used to sit on the corner around where I was at. And I lost my purse one time. But because I'd got to know them to some degree, I'd said, right, guys, I've lost my purse. I've dropped it somewhere. And I said, so if you find it, you can take the cash, but I need it back with the cards. And they went, yeah, no worries, mate. So that's the thing. Like,
did they find it?
Oh, I don't know how. No, I don't think they did. No. I think I dropped it and found it somewhere else. But that's it. People are interesting, and they're energizing, or some of them are.
So the main thing about your business is to help people, but you've got this offshoot now where you've written the first course, which is around recruitment. Now, you're not a recruitment business or anything like that. You're a business to help other businesses, but recruitment is a starting point for a lot of people. How did you find writing the course?
Oh, it's grueling. I had some nights where I was up until sort of 3 o'clock in the morning writing this, going, is this right? But it ends up being a bit of stream of consciousness at first, and then you have to dissect and make sure that you've gone through all the steps. It's a 30-step method, and it's the method that I use. But because I was good at my job, you get to a point where everything becomes so natural that you don't even understand the steps that you take to do that 30 steps. Do you know what I mean? So I had to dissect it. So a lot of it was, wait a second, I missed about 3 steps there because it just all flowed once you've set up all your systems, etc., and you've been doing it for a long time. So going back, that's what took the time, is going back and dissecting what it is that you actually do step by step. Am I repeating myself? Probably a little bit.
No, you're not, because it's true though, because anything that we do ourselves and we do well over time, even driving a car.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you drive a car? Like, I don't know, you get in the car and you drive.
Totally, and suddenly you're at the destination, like, how the hell did I get here?
But if you're a 16-year-old learning to drive,
oh yeah,
that's quite a challenge.
Oh, massive. So I remember when I passed my licence, I had to keep going back home just to start again. Do you know what I mean? Like, just get home and then you'll know how to get somewhere.
Yep. I didn't pass my test the first time.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I didn't pass my theory test the first time.
Oh, it makes me feel a little bit better. So you've got that one course about recruitment, and obviously that's something that you can get through your website. Now, your website is what?
astereoofpeople.com.
It's really not hard, is it, that one?
No.
And from there you can look at a heap of different things. So having a look, you've got a lot of articles with great content for people to have a look at and learn from that. But then the courses do come from that as well. And so this is your first course. What are the plans?
Well, I'm actually, I've been told that I'm quite mean to HR managers in that course.
So are you saying that your course isn't perfect at the moment?
It's not perfect, but actually I kind of like the imperfection. I kind of like the fact that I'm just human about it and go, recruiters and HR people are not the same.
Yeah, let's touch on that. It's got nothing to do with what we're talking. Well, it does a little bit, but because
I've been told I've got to get rid of it because it could be terrible for me. But I'm just like,
no. But I love the thing that we talked about before about HR and recruitment and how they're always lumped together, but they are so separate. And it wasn't until you said that I actually thought about it and went, heck, you're right.
Yeah, they're totally different professions, totally different industries. That HR complex is massive. Yep. Okay, it's I don't know how much money that industry is worth, but it's a lot. Okay,
too much.
Right. But also, I kind of feel sad for HR managers because they're always plonked into the recruitment piece.
I thought you were going to say they're always boring.
No, they're not. I know plenty of awesome HR managers, but I don't like the job. Yeah. The job itself, I'm like, oh, you are so much better than that job.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I just think to myself that HR managers are megaphones for policy and procedure and compliance. So that's all good, but let's be honest, then you're not human resourember, are you? No. You're like megaphone.
You're company policy.
You're compliance people. Yeah. That's all good, but stop touching recruitment. I remember working,
Stop it now.
Stop it. I worked with an HR manager and poor thing had to do a whole bunch of recruitment work. And I know she wasn't a natural. She shouldn't have done it. And she would, because she's compliant, she thinks about things like how you dress and your tattoos and your presentation and all that sort of stuff. And recruiters kind of have to touch on that, but not really. It's really about the skills and the character and the culture fit, etc. But this HR manager rejected a female J2EE developer front end, right? And that was gold because she's gold. This developer was gold, but she was rejected because she had tattoos on her sleeves. And I just thought to myself, no one cares about that. And if you knew the industry, you wouldn't care about it either. But because HR people are into compliance and possibly conformity and probably, substantially contributes to homogeneity. But, gosh, I'm not very nice to them. But they shouldn't touch it. That's it.
Boring was much nicer, what I called them.
Really?
Well,
no.
What you're calling, I can't even repeat that because the sentence was too long.
No, being boring has got to be the worst sin of all.
I worked in a bank. They
so
trained you.
I worked in a bank once.
They trained you to be boring, and in the end, they just looked at me. And I remember my area managers used to always come in and they just go, "Rob, we don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it," because I refused to fit into that little stereotype of the boring bank manager. But I got out, and there's actually a life after a bank. So
I'm a podcaster now.
I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing 1,000 different things, but. Even and that's where a stereo of people can come into be a great resource for people that have been working in that 9-to-5 job for 10, 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden they do what you did, just up and leave.
Well, they've got something else. They've got some aspiration and ambition outside of that 9-to-5 paradigm, which I don't blast anymore. I used to blast it when I was young. It's like, don't be so boring. But now I'm like, I get it. That provides psychological safety for a lot of people. Yep. And I get after the last few years why people need that. So I don't blast the 9 till 5.
But we need all of them.
But can you get rich on a 9 to 5?
No,
I don't
reckon. Guarantee you that.
Yeah.
But we need all of them. If we don't have the 9 to 5 people, we can't have the people that have the ideas that start their own businesses.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do need the leaders and the staff. That sounds wrong. But again, I'm redefining what I think about that because leadership is being redefined. With the working from home paradigm, what does that mean? Okay, what that means is that you have to start being your own leader. We can't constantly say we're having a crap time at work because our leader's bad. Actually, you work from home now, so maybe you're having a crap time at work because you're badly self-managed. So that's not the only perspective, that's just one.
No, I understand you.
But the redefinition of leadership is happening right now. And the things that I'm trying to sort of put out there about productivity, maxing micro-habits, cultivating micro-habits, fearlessness in business, that stuff is going to be really great for even the 9 to 5 crew who work from home.
So one of my questions I normally ask is what's next? And you've kind of answered that by saying that, because that's exactly, what we're looking for is, what is happening. And we've got to be one step ahead of it all, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
Oh, well, you just got to be, you've got to be prepared to go on the journey with it.
Yeah, front loading, I call it. Just front load yourself now, because who knows? Are we in an economic depression? Yeah. So I got an email from the bank today, and those minimum payments on a mortgage, they just doubled overnight.
Bloody banks.
Yeah, banks. I don't hate banks. I worked in a bank once.
Here in Australia?
No, in the UK.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I caused all sorts of trouble when I was there.
So was I. I caused that much trouble. They kept promoting me to get me out of the last job. And then they found a job that I could be in.
Oh, no.
Be as crazy as I wanted to, and stayed there.
I transferred £90,000 to the wrong person once. It was like a merchant bank. It wasn't like a high street bank. Yep. And when there are deadlines for property exchanges and all that sort of stuff, that's a big deal. Plus, I think there's a rule where they don't actually have to give you back the money. Right.
Here in Australia, I can tell you there is that rule too.
Really? They don't have to give you the money if you do it now. So we were so lucky that the client had a good relationship, because they put that money back. And oh my God.
But that feeling must have been,
especially when I was so young. I was only 22 or something like that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know what I did?
Yeah.
I gave money to a homeless bloke.
Yeah.
He had the same name as someone else. I gave him out of the other person's.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He thought he'd won lotto, this guy.
Did you have to take it back? You couldn't take it back. Oh, it was a bank error in his favour.
Yeah, like Monopoly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Time has flown. This is probably the longest podcast I've ever done.
Is it? Oh, no, I talked to you.
No, that's good. That's good. But if I could say to people out there, astereopeople.com, go and check it out. And if you want to get in contact with Georgie, do it, because the one thing that I've got out of this last 25 minutes is the enthusiasm that you have for what you do, and it's infectious. So
good.
I'm going to try and harness that this afternoon. I've got a couple of things I've got to do this afternoon.
Oh, no, hopefully I've given you some good stuff to work with.
You have, and I think that you would be able to help anyone, whether it be through the course that you've got up there at the moment, and what's coming.
Yeah.
But also through that mentorship is something that obviously excites you, so you should get onto it. A stereo of people, Georgie Carpenter. This has been absolutely brilliant, and I hope that we can see you again one day soon.
Thanks, Rob.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the My Business Podcast, brought to you by Media8 on the Podfire platform. If you want to be on our podcast, please reach out to the team on all our socials at mybusiness.pod.